ceremony of the Parliament building. So I inquired whether the MPs attended on the basis they could. It is not mainly parliamentary business like those debates and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden people come at me, manje mukaita ma-feelings akumana zvimwe zvinhu zvokuti zvinoita kuti zomunyatsongoanalyzawo so ningodiscussawo so kungodiscassa haakubatsirana.
That is withdrawn is just an individual who has just emerged from nowhere. So we want that issue to be resolved. But we have said, over and above this, we are also ordering all our deployees to Parliament and local authorities to disengage from Parliament and from Council. Until this issue is resolved. And when I say disengage, we have not said that they have withdrawn. They are disengaging, meaning to say that no business shall be transacted until remedy and justice is done through the mechanism. In fact, we are.
So upon hearing that, you think that, okay, the 14 days, have gone by, Mudenda has not done, anything, and you'd expect that maybe the announcement that is going to be coming should be telling you about, the escalation of whatever it is, that was going to be happening. But now, the thing is, when communication comes late, right, like what has happened today, because when videos and images of the CCC MPs were circulating on social media, there was no communication that had come to say that now, okay, since the 14 days, have gone by, this is now, the position, we are now moving, to phase 2. This is, our phase 2. There was no such, communication. So when the communication then came, it acted as if it was a reactionary type of communication to try and then, soften, the blow. But, these guys, they were already being, you see, one thing that needs to happen is CCC needs to understand the regime that, they are dealing with. Any chance that they get to score a point over CCC, these guys, they'll take it. And it was evident that any sighting of a CCC MP at the Parliament building, their images were going to be taken or videos were going to be recorded, and these videos were going to be posted on social media. So I was of the thinking that since they knew that the 14 days were up yesterday, I think you then put out a quick communication, knowing that the MPs were going to go to Parliament today. But when then you put up a communication that comes after, it becomes a problem because the narrative would have would have been out there. So there's somebody that spoke about, I think I can't remember who spoke about it was Mududuzi who spoke about the communications department being alert and putting out information in real time. And that is one of the improvements that he said, okay, CCC needs to be improving on that. But when some folks when I don't know Doc and what do you say?
Kuno kuri bonus a problem in one with CCC. They always react afterwards, and I think that is their weakness. They always react afterwards, and when they react badly. Pakaitwa ma-recalls aya munhu akanyatsotaura akatizo, our members are not going to go until the issue of recalls has been dealt with. And up to now, that issue has not been dealt with. So you say something nasi mangwanoni kwaweitwa something totally different. It actually comes to the issue where Pasadak report pakatizo were not going to go to parliament, and yet they are now in parliament. Saka, they always react afterwards, and it's not well thought. That's my thinking.
Yeah, Bagaipa. Citizen Z, how you doing?
Not bad, Angus. How are you?
I'm fine. Could you say go?
Not bad, not bad.
Right. So the disengagement is ended, and we have been told there's a presser that has been put out. What is your reaction?
Communication department. If it's not communication department, their communication is terrible.
Right.
It's terrible, Angus. To be honest, as you said, they needed to be on top of this. We should have turned around and went to bed last night, fully knowing what's gonna happen today. But as you said, images first, communication after. It's firefighting, my friend, and it's bad firefighting.
Yeah.
But we as we said, they turned around and pointed out 14 days. If there's no response, we escalate. Yet we all understood there's 21 days limit in Parliament that you have to turn around and deal with. So there's returning to Parliament that you have to do anyway. Yeah, in order to turn around and escalate. Let's say you return for 1 week or return for a couple of days, and then do another 2 weeks. That was understandable. Yeah, or from my side anyway. But this one turns around and pokes holes into anything that they are planning. They are planning to do, because it's crazy. Let's be honest here. It is absolutely mental. It is indefensible, and they have to be on top of this. Because at the end of the day, Zan is hitting this like crazy, and then it starts to put questions. You see, this is where CCC is not seeing itself. It starts to put questions to every single decision they've made for the past, let's say, 2 months. Yeah. Then you think to yourself, are they going to? Is everything that they are saying actually true? Are they going to go back on their word? Now you go back to all the so-called sayings that they've done. It's crazy. And communication department gets the brand because at the end of the day they're the mouthpiece, but leadership as well. Yes, to get the brand of this, because it can't be put on communication department only. If communication department has nothing to communicate, they're not going to communicate anything. They stayed away for 2 weeks. You're telling me for 2 weeks they did not plan that, okay, when is the D-Day for the 14th day? What are we doing after that? It's mental. But at the end of the day, they cannot even turn around and call this ambiguity, because it's not. It is absolutely not. But at the end of the day, again, it is their own party. They can make their decision. But out here, we're all getting hammered out here. And that's where the problem is. It's understandable if they are the ones turning around and firefighting 24/7, but their own people are the ones firefighting. How can you firefight this now today, Agos? How can any CCC member who's loyal to CCC firefight this?
Because also, because that disengagement, it was disengaging from Parliament to try and force the hand of Jacob Mudenda to say, look, we wrote to you, we indicated to you that the people that are responsible for any correspondence between your office and our party is the office of the president of the party, which is the office of Advocate Nelson Chamisa, right? So that was a direct hit at Mudenda to say, Mudenda, comply with this. We are giving you 14 days. If you don't do that, we are going to be escalating. And now this is now being recorded as only something that was just, to threaten Mudenda, or to ask Mudenda to just, reverse what he did within 14 days. And there is no consideration. When folks are getting at us, there's no consideration. They're not even considering what is it that was said to say, well, if we don't do this, we are going, to do this. So now they are saying that, okay, the measures that, they've taken is approach the courts regarding, the recourse issue. So you have approached, the courts within the 14-day period. So how was Mudenda going to be, responding, to that? When you have approached the court, Mudenda will simply say, "Oh, you guys, you say that if you after a few days after you've done your 14-day disengagement, within a few days you already made an application to court. Saka Mudenda was no longer facing that ultimatum because the matter was now in court."
100% angles. It makes them look very selfish. The sight now from the people that are sitting on the stands, like us, as people that are watching this. This is crazy. It is like amateur politics. You put a warning. But to put a warning to Mtenda, okay, village Mtenda is nothing. Yes, what can he do? Nothing. You put the court case. You said escalation. Where is the escalation? Zero. A statement comes in after we've turned around and seen a ZPC. Come on, guys. At least they prepare this. Yeah. It is crazy, uncles. I am the same as you. I do not know whether to be disappointed or to turn around. This is crazy.
And some of these, that they are saying engaged, SADC. This is what they told us on the day that they were telling us about the 14-day engagement. The 14-day disengagement. They said they've engaged the local the regional bodies. They've done that. And when you look at this disengagement update, if truth be told, this right here is something that is sort of reactionary.
Anko Ged, they are very correct. And I don't think it's really fair to blame the communication department of CCC. Remember, there's that letter which says any communication pertaining to CCC MPs and councillors, communication comes from the office of the president. So this one just ends with the leaders.
Crazy. Pastor, Murise?
Ndisikunzwa mushe.
Mabaika nere pastor. Imimi kanti ndinofanira kuti namatira ka pastor. Mbara unamara zvinhu zvidzikama.
Pamwe pacho unobva wapera simba. Because ndatotanga kuona from your post, ndarwadziwa.
Yeah, pakaipa. But now, looking at looking at the communication, maybe we're going to hear more when they come, on the space, today, because they're going to do, a space. So maybe we're going to hear more about, some of, these things. But just looking at the letter that is, or the update that has come from the communications, department on the disengagement. I mean. What is your take, on the contents, of that letter there?
Thank you, Anko Jerry, and thank you for this wonderful space, which is always, useful, to talk about these issues. I think my starting point, Anko Jerry, is that in politics, you need to be a credible politician in order for people to trust you. This means that when you issue out a threat or a command or a promise, you must carry it out. That is what builds credibility. But from what you said, Anko Jedza, that we started to see pictures of some CCC parliamentarians, attending the official opening of the parliament. And we were confused. We didn't know what's happening. And it's not the first time. It happened again, if you remember. And then the CCC then communicated. And these are low-hanging fruits
we are dealing with a regime that is ready to take advantage of any gap, and the CC is just failing basic communication. Okay, that's factor number one. Then number two, in terms of the contents now, because when the CCC announced the disengagement, they said that we have withdrawal on the cards, okay, which meant that if the disengagement, is not heeded to, then we are going to take the nuclear option. And that is logical in any plan of action. You start with the least action and then you go up and, if until you get to the nuclear option if all the other options fails. So the idea for me was, okay, if this fails, we are going to see the next step until we get to the nuclear option. That is what I expected. But this is not what we are seeing, because Mudenda did not withdraw. And as you said, he could not do that because the matter was before the courts. Not only that, the president, Mnangagwa, proclaimed the dates for the nomination court and by-election, which shows that they really completely disregard the demands of the CCC. And now, as I come to landing, because I know we have a few hours, in respect of the contents now, really what they call successes, I mean, for me, it amazes me for them to say that we have made 3 successes. One of them is that, the High Court will hear the matter of the legal recourse on an urgent basis on 2nd of November. And also the SADC, election observer report. We know this, and the truth is that SADC cannot help us if we cannot help ourselves. And the engagement with citizens and other stakeholders. Really, for me, and now the way forward now to say we are going to continue to monitor, what does that mean strategically? What is that monitoring? Already it's clear that the disengagement did not produce the fruits that were required. So to me, it's unclear. Are they going to engage as they monitor and then think about the next step? It is unclear. And finally, as I read even on your timeline and other timelines, I saw a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. And I really understand that, because this is really confusing and it's difficult to follow. I'm really disappointed, Anko Ged. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, Bagaiba. There's also, this issue of the suspension. The majority of the MPs were under suspension within this 2-week period. They were never going to be going into parliament anyway to go and sit in parliament, because Mudenda had suspended them for 6 sittings, and he dogged, I think, payment or their salaries for for 2 months. So these guys, they were never going to be in parliament anyway within this 2-week period that was being referred to as a disengagement period. Because I was of the opinion that they've called for a 2-week disengagement. It will be then mean Kuti for it to be effective, so that we understand that these guys have really disengaged from parliament. It would have started from the day that their six sitting suspension had been lifted, and it would be a day that these guys would not report to parliament, will not go to council, will not attend to council business, will not attend to parliament business. Then would know that the 14-day disengagement has taken place. Not a period where you're already under suspension anyway. Well, I mean, what effect is that done? Blessing.
Okay, thank you very much, Uncle Ged. It's just so sad. I think we are missing a lot of observations that are clear and so vivid in terms of what's really happening on the ground. Because if we want to paraphrase from most of the things that are happening, the communication itself, silence, no communication. Who are the intended people to to know what is happening. Why should you leave your own supporters, the interested parties, living in suspense with all that frustration, with all that mistrust now? They've lost a lot of identity in terms of who really is their leadership. So this is what the leadership of CC was supposed to clarify, and also to improve their communication in terms of how do you pass the message to the structures, how do you pass the message to the generality of Zimbabweans, so that they continue to rally behind you, other than remain quiet in very important issues. I can give you an example. Discord, which is there about Chabangu, the Discord which is there about BT, the Discord which is there about Welshman Ngube. What stops the party to come in the open and say, BT and Welshman Ngube have got a case to answer. We are taking them to a disciplinary hearing. So the citizens stop all this noise that you are making until we have dealt with this issue internally and as a leadership. Then it removes all this confusion. It removes, again, ZANU-PF taking advantage of all that misconception. Then you come to the issue of Chabangu. In reality, there is communication between CC and Chabangu. There's also evidence of complete hatred amongst the other leadership individuals in terms of how they missed to stop the other candidates who were supposed to who contested in the election, because they had much power from the citizens or from their constituencies. The leadership failed to stop them from participating. So, Muteyami, Chibaya, they are communicating with Chibangu to recall those individuals who have been voted overwhelmingly in their constituencies. What does it tell us? What does it reflect on the discord within the leadership itself? Where is the common sense there? If you are to reflect on the things that have happened before the election, what you do is you strengthen your position by uniting your party, by uniting your legislators who have been voted into parliament. You bring them together, you strengthen them, you strengthen their voice, you give them hope and support to make them understand that you become collected, and also you bring in cohesion. What we are witnessing now, it's a complete disaster, which is confusing most of the citizens, even most of the people on the ground, because there is no way they can run away from things they are witnessing, from things they are seeing, from things they are, experiencing at the moment. Because let's not forget that most of these MPs, they were sponsored, they were funded by the citizens. It is not the party itself which funded these people, because the party itself had no money, no capacity whatsoever to participate in this election. But the citizens, they took their position, they took their commitment to say, hey, we need change, and this change. They put the trust in that leadership so that they can bring cohesion, they can bring unity within that team, so that at least we'll be in a position to have our voice in parliament, to have our voice in terms of the reforms that we want to happen. How are we going to fight for reform when we have already started at this pace? It's ridiculous. At the same time, it needs simple common sense from people who are really understanding our political power in terms of bringing these people into account. We cannot just talk about things whereby we are talking about this every day. ZANU-PF, ZANU-PF, we have done this. ZANU-PF, they are infiltrating us, this and this. So what statement are you telling us? The statement you are telling us is that we have failed. Everything is all about ZANU-PF. You are not talking about solutions. You are not talking about strategies of how to deal with those things. That's why people chose you in the first place. All of us, we know what ZANU-PF is capable of. We know the environment that we are in. But that's the reason why we chose leadership. That's the reason why we want communication, people to communicate to us, to tell us, this is our position. How are we going to deal with this challenge? Those challenges, they are coming in the public domain. So there's no need for silence. Communicating to us on how you are dealing with those challenges. The solutions that are in the people.
You're right.
We are only selected to administer and to facilitate. But the power and the strength, it comes from the people. It comes from those people, because those people, they've got a diversity of skills that can help the movement, that can help in this struggle. So you need a leadership which has got that kind of insight, which has got that kind of probity, where you understand how you tap your solutions, your skills, and all these resources from your support base.
Right. Yeah, vakaipa. Amwe blessing atina nguva yakareba tiri panapa because tinoda kuti izoti kana tiri kuzodzoka, I think tozodzoka after tanyatsonzwa because because what there is a reply to the Wop's post by Gift was our Salos. He said, but we are reviewing our decision as disengagement was from the 11th to the 25th. We shall make public our program of action at the appropriate time. So I don't know which appropriate time he's referring to, but he's saying that they're now reviewing their decision, because that disengagement was only from the 11th to the 25th. But now you see when we start to talk of the narratives, the narrative that is out there now is that the MPs listened to what Tabangu said, to say that if you disengage, there will be consequences for you. And now when you look at this now, with the way the things have happened today, it's coming out as if Tabangu listened to the MPs listened to Tabangu, and they were fearing that if they don't attend parliament, then Tabangu is going to wield the axe on them.
That's what the citizens. That's what the citizens are going to get. That's what the citizens should now understand, that themselves, they are being played. And they are being delayed to make a decision. What exactly should we do? What is the way forward? Because we have got only 5 years to the next election. And are we talking of an election again? Are we talking of another way of addressing the challenges that the country is facing? Because food on the table, schools, universities, work, everything, the ordinary citizens, it's not affecting all these bourgeoisie who are positioning themselves in all these, caricatures. We cannot continue to accept that kind of political, argument. It doesn't work. It doesn't help at all. Let's unite. Let's speak. Let's account these people. Let's silence. It's never gonna solve anything.
Yeah.
Silence. We will remain being punished by these people.
Right. Okay, let me go to the next speaker. Think Black. How are you?
Hi, Uncle Jeds. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How are you this late afternoon? I don't know, which ends, you ate, but
No, I'm very good. I'm very good. Thanks a lot. Very, very interesting discussion here. Yeah, following the social media the whole day, you can feel the frustrations are mounting amongst the opposition leaders, opposition supporters. I mean, so maybe it's high time for the CC to introspect and maybe change the way they communicate with their supporters. Coming to the disengagement issue, I think it comes back to the timing of the disengagement itself, because I think hapana kunyaso kuplanga zvakanaka again strategic wise, because you have to do this disengagement when you know there's a major activity in the parliament, because if you do disengagement kusina zvichiitwa kuparliament, you are not going to I mean to gain any.
oh no, Ngoma, your network, can you hear me? Right. Yeah, Ngoma, I've no, Ngoma, your network is bad. Your network is bad, Ngoma. We can't hear. Right. Can you drop and then come back again? Okay, let me drop you and then I'll bring you back up. Think Black. Let me drop you. Right. Whilst I'm dropping, Think Black. Darlington Mashoko. How you doing? Thank you for coming through, my brother. Take the mic. Darlington Mashoko, are you there? Right. Darlington. Okay, Darlington, you seem not to be hearing me. Guys, if you are just joining me for the first time today, thank you very much for coming through. As I said when I started that this space is only going to run for 2 hours, I think. I don't know, because there is a space that has been arranged by by CCC, and it's going to be, I think, it's going to be 6, but I'm not sure whether it is 6 Zim time or UK time. So if it is 6 UK time, it means we got about an hour or so, to do, this quickly before, we get to go and listen, to them. Or if it is 6 Zim time, it means that we only got about 17 minutes before the kickstart. So we'll see which is which. But there is a space that has been scheduled entitled "The Constitutional Crisis in Zimbabwe: Recourse by Elections and Dialogue." So I mean, I think it will be proper for us to go and listen to that, so that we can find out what is going on, and maybe there will be information that will be given out right there, that will help us to understand what is currently obtaining right now. So Dr. Sadini, welcome. What do you say?
Zvakanaka mukoma, takatombomirirawo space iyoyo, hatina zvakawanda zvekutaura besides kuti tinenge tiri kungoitisana tichikika bhora resimbi, but we are to blame. We get the politicians that we deserve, because do we ever hold anyone to account? Saka mukoma munduziva kuti musi wamadzingwa kubasa ndowamunonoudza mukadzi wenyu kuti aiwa no, ndiri kungotorawo zvangu leave as a protest to what is happening at work. Imi matodzingwa kuti muri pasuspension, musauye kubasa. Chokwadi ndechekuti ZANU-PF yafoira, ndomufunga maona mabhizimusi ari kuvhara, vanhu vari kubudisa nguruve dzavo, nyama dzavo dziri kuora, hakuna magetsi. Tinashe Mtarisi, a significant employer.
Abarasho. Yeah?
Eh,
Arajimio.
it's- exactly. Vanhu vese vari kuratidza kuti ZANU has failed. Asi pane chimwe chinhu chiri key chinoita kuti tifanire kufocusa on opposition. Nzira yedu yekubvisa ZANU-PF comes from opposition. It's not going to come from ZANU-PF. So we have to make the opposition better. But we don't make it better by kuomberera zvinhu zvese zvainenge yaita. For those people that still have a conflict as to why people focus on opposition and ask opposition to account, it's because ndonzira yekubvisa ZANU yatiri kutoziva tese tatadza. There's no need for further proof kuti ZANU yakundikana. But if opposition is not up to par to the task, and if we continue to clap hands for them for things that we know don't work, ZANU-PF is not going to go anywhere. They will actually serve more as my gatekeepers for ZANU-PF than intended opposition to remove ZANU-PF. So it is up to us, my citizens, my supporters, to improve the means of ZANU-PF. And so far we have not done that. If we come up and we accept this convenient disengagement or for others boycott was in actual boycott, when we know that at that very moment is also when the suspension was running, it's absurd. It doesn't save us, the people of Zimbabwe. It only serves to further entrench ZANU-PF and for ZANU-PF to extend its rule. The only means, I repeat, to get out of ZANU-PF is to have an opposition that is adequate and capable. As it stands, we don't have that. Opposition is riddled with serious internal fighting. But if you listen to the key leaders, among my leaders at Chiramba position, who you have fought for the longest, that is the vice president, comes up and says, I'm not a vice president of any party. Another who you have thought is a vice president comes up at such a critical point and says, I do not want to be included in any of that kindergarten stuff. How is an election that is going to cost an entire nation kindergarten stuff? How is the disenfranchisement of citizens in Bulawayo who have paid for their MPs and they've voted for their MPs now that they lack representation? How is that kindergarten stuff? But what these leaders are saying is in essence that there is a real problem that we don't realize, but these are also protests that they are putting across. Ndofunga maridos utanzwa nekutamba maridos from the other leaders. Ndofunga mavesi tanzwa nekuwerenga mavesi. So we have to be serious, us as the citizens, especially kuspace mukapiwa mukana. Ask the significant questions.
Hi, Tadini.
Uh,
Hi, Tadini.
Hey, please, can you stop hiring him? We are not at that stage of hiring each other. This is the moment in time. We don't have time. I'm going lieutenant. You're coming after him. And I'm push back against him. But thank you for coming in as a speaker.
Yeah, kugumisa nyaya yangu because I know the space is short and tida kuenda kunotaura now. Vanenge vapiwa mukana, please ask the significant questions and tell them the truth about what the people need. Because if they hear that and they just don't hear ululations, they will improve. We need them to improve. That is the only chance we have of removing ZANU-PF. If we continue this issue, whatever we get, we clap hands for it and say at least Ningaita Chakat. We need to understand that freedom doesn't work on at least basis. We have only one objective. The objective is to be free and to ZANU-PF end. Anything that falls short of that, no matter if it is effort that has cost you so much in your own life, it is insignificant. Because we only have one outcome. The outcome is we need to change our lives. ZANU needs to go. So pamper each other, but at least it doesn't make sense. For the past 40 years, there's been someone who has been at least trying. But look at where we are, the state where we are, makambani anoemploya vanhu vakawanda ari kuvhara nekuti hakuna magetsi.
Right.
So thank you very much. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Okay. Right. Let us go. Let me bring in the issue of Nengi timelines here. On the 9th of October, there was guys. If you remember the day before yesterday, there was an issue of a court case that was said to be a court case yakaitwa yemasamons chichi anditi. That court case involved 13 of the record MPs, and it was launched kwa High Court yekubulawayo, and my papers were received on the 9th, right? But that one, I think it was proceeding as a way of summons. On the 11th, we had the presser that announced, disengagement, that the MPs and the councillors, they are disengaging for 14 days. Failure of Mudenda meeting, their demands, they are going to be escalating, things, right? And then there is a court application again that was then made a few days after. And this one now, it was a court application that involved 14 of the record, MPs. And remember, we are in this period of the, disengagement. And then a case management meeting was held on the 17th of October before Justice Munamato Mtevezi at the Harare High Court. The 14, right, who were recalled by Sabang. And then it was decided on that day, on the 17th, on that day, that this case was going to be heard on the 2nd of November, right? So already you are looking at maybe that is the ambiguity part of it, that they say this and then they are doing the other thing. But if you are looking at the issue of the court case, it's something that was already underway even just after the announcement of the 14-day disengagement. But now, when you're looking at how now this information is now being reported by stables like Newswalk, it seems as if they're acting as if it's something new that they're finding out now, and yet this was already in the public domain. And this is where now some people are saying the communications has to be in real time, such that people are well aware of what is happening. I've heard some people start to say, Anko Ged, what is the purpose of your spaces? Why do you do your spaces? And I answered with this: we do these spaces to inform other people of what will be going on. And I made this announcement on this platform. I think on the 17th, to say that there is a case, and this case here is going to be heard on an urgent basis on the 2nd of November, ladies and gentlemen. And here we are. That is the timeline of the things that are going on. And then if you're looking at the the statement that has been put out, that is now something that is being taken as an initiative, is something that the party is now doing. Yes, it's important that that is done, but the issue of the communication or the issue of being upfront with people, I think it is an issue that is taking center stage. Lieutenant Colonel, is it Lieutenant Colonel Major Selby Magadi?
Tiripo mkoma makadiwo.
Ndakasimba makasimbawo.
Ndokumbura kuregerero ndokumbura kuregerero nekuinterjector.
Mina achimomoresa ngoma tadi.
All right. Yes, Tadini, how are you?
Andipo hangu makadi.
Right.
Andipo, I hope you are well. Saka anachida ngoti chinhu chinonzi opposition politics chinhu chakaoma. It's not an easy thing. And after opposition politics, you're gonna get daggers, you're gonna get misstatements, you're gonna get propaganda. And I would like to say at this point in time, the CCC is doing well. Why do I say it's doing well? You've got to look back at the record of opposition politics in Zimbabwe. What have they done well? Number one, they actually came up with a communication strategy. Number two, look for personalities that do communications well. Fatai, Gift, Promise. Look at them as independent personalities. How good they are. Kana wachitaura. Vese ukaanza wachitaura unomedza mati kana neni handigona kutaura as much as they can do. Now, when we talk about CCC 14-day temporary disengagement, let's define this. What were they disengaging from? Can I define Amkoma Jeza? Then we can go into the politics. That's propaganda. Everyone knows that.
They were disengaging from parliament.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Now, disengaging from parliament, that's okay. It's a form of protest, right? Now, a form of protest, protests are allowed. As we move on, as we go on,
But can I ask you?
Why
Can
am
I
I
ask you a
thanking
question?
them?
Can I ask you? Can you disengage when you're on when you've been suspended? You've been suspended, and then you're saying I'm disengaging when the suspension came first.
Okay.
Sorry, Lieutenant.
Ndini chiri kutaura.
You need.
Ndini chiri kutaura. Ndini chiri kutaura. Saka mbombirai. Mbombirai. Mbombirai nditaura.
Ngoba blessing. Hold on.
Mina nditaura.
Yes. I'm coming, Lieutenant, and then
Yeah, so they were disengaging from parliament and while they were suspended. Engaging in parliament gives the government legitimacy because the outside world sees them MPs engaging, right? So they were disengaging from parliament. But even if you are suspended, suspension, that's just lawfare. I have to run for a meeting in Goma Jeza, but what I want to say in ending, do not ever say CCC haigone, CCC irikutamba. It's the best opposition party Zimbabwe has ever had. And I'll tell you 1,000 points why I'll say that. I'm a CCC supporter. I'm not a neutral. I won't hide behind another cloak. I believe in Nelson Chamisa a lot in Goma Jeza. But let me rush for my meeting and then I'll come back. Thank you.
Sorry, Uncle Jed. I just wanted to, before this guy goes, I think, I just wanted to say that you see that's the problem we are having because people they stereotype people and also they judge people. Yes, he has missed the focus and the objective of this discussion. We are talking about the disengagement. He is coming to blah blah blah. It has nothing to do with the discussion which is going on here. What we need progress. We need to scrutinize things and also to find solutions of how to help and support CC. I'm a full member of CC. There's no two ways about it. But I'm a person who has got individual opinion. We have got his own interest in terms of how we can move our country forward. So we shouldn't allow people to just come and stereotype people and judge people on the basics of just accounting CC. And CC is not Chamisa. CC is the people. Chamisa is the leader. He has got to be scrutinized. He has got to be praised for things that he does correctly. But at the end of the day, it is the alternative government. We are talking of an alternative government, which we have got to understand how it operates, how it works, how it understands democracy, how it understands the rule of law. These are things, very simple, basic things that we need to put across. Thank you very much.
Right. Komwendas makwenda kuvuta amwendas vofuti. Hamsati nyebudze para pani mwendas. Kana mtinge maita request rambe muripo. Tenge chikudai. Kana mwendas tenge chikudai panapa. Ndime vanhu vacho, ndime hama dzedu panapa. Right. Chami. Chamisa Christian Count. Okay. Chora ichimute. Hello, Chami. Right. Chami anenge asida kutaura. Right. Regaitende kuna signor. Signor makadi.
Aiwa tuna nyama sisi.
Arise malefu.
Kwakadi. Aiwa tungoona zvekungoitika.
Anditi.
Kwa zvakananga ndoko atisingaziva.
Aiwa muchakuziva mai manje nikidondwari.
Tatongojaira kuti kuti poison inouraya tange tainanzva tisingaronge kuti tisingafunge kuti what are the solutions at the end of the day. Uh, I really find it very difficult to articulate your question. Disengagement has ended. Yes. Probably the follow-up question is, and then what? I think we lack of better word, we are suffering from denial syndrome, in the sense here, if you listen to Chabang's statement, the audio, he's saying those who don't want to accept reality, those who don't want to believe, it doesn't mean that I support that. It's ugly. But when you turn it upside down, there's content to me, you and all of us, particularly those who are aggrieved with the situation. Yes, it has ended, but I think it has gone far beyond the deadline, 14 days. They've taken it to another level. And I don't know, you can correct me if it is not true that it is now at a government level, in the sense that the current head of state and government is actually accepted, and this is a finalized deal. There is a ballot.
What do you mean? What do you mean? They've taken it to another level. At that level, the one that you're talking about, they are saying with this, or they are not going to be participating. But I think the level where we are at right now, that is where they're talking about is the court case that is coming on the 2nd of November.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to. And in retrospect, I was going to say, isn't it true that there is a plan to, or rather provisional dates have been given for by-elections?
No, that is true. That is true. The 7th of November is the nomination sitting date, and then the 9th of December is the by-election date.
Yeah, so I think my contribution should end there, and I'm asking, okay, until when shall we be following behind events that are already forecasted, 2 steps ahead? Because I think that is more important, the gross effect. So that kana zvangodhakwa katongoziva zvadi zvadhakwa, according to me, izvi zvatodhakwa izvi. And if we are determined, if we are truly so, and we understand that it's not a one-day event, surely we should come to a consensus to say it's a non-return situation, but we've got to probably come up with something. The scary thing, it's scary in the sense that we'll lose a lot of people, a lot of appetite to hear that Nelson Chamisa has hung his boots. And I'm also not just speculating, but I'm picking from his sentiments, especially when he makes it clear that he's not going to participate. We are not going to participate in a thuggery, ballot. So I don't think there's questions there. So if we are not going to participate, surely I think it's important to say, are we then technically admitting that whatever they are intending to achieve, 2/3 majority, we should, go for it? And again, if they wake up one day, which is highly likely, just a question of time to pronounce it, to say, no, we are putting our heads together, because there's a sort of a common tone that speaks to that, and there's a disengagement between the electorate and the leadership. Panika kuwandirana, but without really attacking or belittling one's contribution, I think to keep legitimizing, yes, we may fall in love with our political leaders, but sometimes we need to just question some of the things, because tinozopesa tangosara tichingoberereka tiri toga, which then will be nonsensical. Why not strategize? Do you have a fallback position? And I think we should have a fallback position and strengthen this thing and take it to another level again. Step up the volume much bigger than CCC, a united opposition voice of Zimbabwe. I would like to learn for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, Mof, Zulise?
Sorry. Muri same
Vanaba, Zulise?
Ndiri kokaiko kumatochani kwatisingazivi.
Kumanema, mufana kumbweda zororo, Mof.
Auzorore nyika iri pachipanera kudaiwo. Ndachida kumbokwazira mufana wangu.
Aiwa, taurai zvenyu.
Nebrother yangu Citizen uku. Vana senior vana pastor vese guys. Handisi kuda kutaura zvinhu zvakawanda. But I just want us to remember that politics is voluntary. And as such, nobody is really tied to a tree. Somebody can actually wake up tomorrow and go, that guy is not bad enough. What do you do? So, as you should jump, you know, Masimba ese kana kuti tariro yedu yese pamunhu wani. Nekuti zvichazonetsa kumberi mune yakangofungwa kuti amana bad enough. It can happen. So even as we discuss here, let's not try to vilify too much because it's voluntary. Even if we are by voluntary, so as always remember that so we must always discuss knowing that mistakes will be made. Nema leaders acharipo, whether ari kuzanu kana ari kufa. Iyoyo zanu zvai kuronga zvese, hazvisi zvese zvichabuda semafungiro avari. Some of these decisions avanoita ari anokanganisa zvimwe zvinhu kumberi zvasingakwanisiwo kuona nhasi. Handitoona. Saka kana vanhu vari muleadership, don't expect kuti vachangoita zvinhu perfect chete. Because kana zvakadaro, then there's no point for us being here. We must always remember we are here because we are facing an impossible monster. I will say that again. We've pushed all these 43 years ZANU-PF because ZANU-PF is an impossible monster. I'm not saying that it's impossible. These are people that we go to any length. ZANU-PF is prepared for that. A few days ago, one of these former MPs, the Kangan was kidnapped. And you see the people come and say, yes, people come here and say, somebody will come and say, guys, these are the people we are facing. So do not lose that for a minute. I just want to bash him. That will be that for me. I just want to crash. No. Remember, these are real people facing real problems. Indi nototi panapa ndokunotaura zvandota ndipatwitter ndikaenda kuzimbabwe aoni zviri kutaura chii kodzotongoziva kuti vamwana aya vakawanda ndo mafesi aya taabata unogona kungotsakatika zvakadaro zvotongopera zvakadaro pasina kana chinhu chii chinotomboiti. So if I get on the ground, you will not hear me ndichitaura zvandikuita. So I must understand that vanhu vari guys very brave kusvika stage ipi. This guy kidnapper is actually saying, guys, what? You know what? Ininika vatondiwedzera moto wokuti ndinyasorova struggle. How many of us can actually stand up and say that? So disengagement hachisi chinhu chatingabva tanyanya kudaubate tati hazvazoitirweiso kana sei zvisina kusvika pakati kana sei vasina kudai. Because involuntary yese yatiri kutaura nezvayo. Varipo varume vakasiya mhuri dzavo, vane vana vari kutambudzika nhasi, vakatofa. You see, we're still here, we're still talking, you know? Of course, it's okay to try to correct things when they're wrong. we must always remember we're facing a cantankerous, devilish, doomsday monster, non-Zambia. Yakatungamirirwa nechibaba cheutsinye Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is the guy who refused Robert Mugabe to go in 2008. This is the same guy who led the massacre of people in Midlands and Machiavelli. This is the guy who was in charge all the time. Now, he can actually say, "Aiwa, vakatisaendese chikafu." Kana vakatisiya vakadaro vadonherwa nemugodhi vasiya vakadaro musaendeko. He can make that decision. And he's making such decisions. So let's not forget about that. Ngatirambe tiri objective kuti kuda kwachipa chii sezvambotaurwa nasiyero chamisa akafuma achikufunga achikotaura kuti guys in and done, I've had enough. Where do we start from? And you must ask yourself that question, because I believe that particular opposition to Korea CCC restaura another person kana tichida kutaurira nechokwadi chaicho chaicho as of now kana kwazoema opposition maybe we can say is no kwani yakandwa kutaura nezvayo, and I will say the same. But as of now, tikutaura nezve CCC, and there's no doubt about that.
But it is quite, it is understandable, all these things, that you're talking about. And then now that you're saying Godizo, you're facing this cantankerous, monster, and but at the end of the day, when you get like some of these, strategies, get announced, and if you look at the reactions that people invest in those, strategies, say, yes, I saw, Zeti, he came out and said, this right here is the resistance, that we're talking about. And so many people, were like, yes, this is it, this is it, this is it. And then at the end of it, you see like what we are experiencing, today. Should we? Is that not on? Is that not an on goal that gets people riled up in the manner with which that we have seen on social media right now? Yes, we understand that this is voluntary, but you see at times there are people that would have invested a lot, financially, emotionally, everything into the movement to say that you know what, this is where I am at. So at the end of, so these people, how are they supposed to react when they are facing the situations like the ones that we are facing here? Should the movement not be criticized on the basis of these shortcomings? Because yes, we do understand what you're talking about, but by putting that in the forefront, is it not a way of silencing those that want to criticize the movement objectively? Not that they want to dump the movement, but they're just criticizing some of these steps that, or some of these developments here. Are we not trying to be silencing people here?
No, when I discuss or when I talk, I always say objectively, or let's not forget who we are facing. And let's not forget that leadership, it's not going to be easy to make decisions. And even as you make decisions, some decisions will be wrong. This one is wrong. Whether wakatarisa CCC kana wakatarisa even Zambia, pane decisions decisions brave, but they turn out to be wrong. So it's easy for you to just vilify and say, you know what, I was to get wrong, because you are not in the room where things are happening. And this puts you and was criticizing and saying people should never forget the kind of monster we're facing. Even if you stage, constitution, structure, there's a reason why things are like this. And the reason is unfair. And everyone knows it. But go say, but Zanti is such an organization, it does not matter what you do. They will find something more diabolical than you ever thought. Guys, I will not take too much of your time. Thank you.
No, Move. Ayo, thank you very much. Appreciate. Thank you. Right, Mkoma Clint. Mkoma Clint. Clint, are you there? Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so Nyamasasha, if you allow me to just add a little juice on what Changamiro was
All right,
saying.
okay.
Chiri kundirwadza ndechikuti pakunge kusvotesana, because I don't know if you heard since we are removing criminals around our
Oh,
president.
yes.
So I really don't know whether there is seriousness in these leaders. And I think it's one thing to respect leadership, but now if they are taking this whole thing, which is affecting the lives of those that really love Zimbabwe, I think we should call them out. I just thought I should, add value to what Mofu was saying, because it doesn't really mean that, and I agree with you, everyone is free to say what they want to say, but ngatiwonesanei panapa ka. And I want to leave a question. Isn't it that there's a disengagement for a very long time between the electorate and the leadership? But maybe we've got this fear of the unknown, which is acceptable. Goodbyes are never easy. There's this fear of the unknown. But then we either choose to prepare or taken by surprise. And that to me is concerning.
Right.
Many
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you very much. Clint, are you good now? Clint, can you hear me now?
Yes, Anko. Yeah. Sorry, my network was actually giving some problem. Can you hear me?
Mabvisa picture yamanga minayo mabvisa zvese nenetwork. Clint akomana. Right. I can hear you. Tora chimuti.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I I just have maybe a few in terms of this thing. In terms of um, probably actually having a problem in trying to think that she commit mistakes that he cannot make, and he becomes perfect in everything in his leadership. Then I would want to maybe to say he should be the one anofanira kunamatwa, because kana ukangova perfect in everything iwe ndiwo wakutonamatwa in terms of because hauna chaunogona kutadza or decisions. Some of these decisions are being actually coming up after the leadership painenge yagara pasi and they see it fit. Don't say that because yesterday he said this, then so why are they saying this? I think one of the guys actually said very well. If you are in Zimbabwe, there is different from some of us who will be outside in terms of the how things are actually going on there, and it will be also foolish of the leadership to keep disengaged or not actually going to the parliament. But when they see that tomorrow there are some changes to things, they must just attend to it. And then so that they cannot keep on holding on a decision which they did yesterday or the day before yesterday when things are changing. It's politics. It's politics. So I would think that it's important that whatever this leadership is actually doing, they are doing it for the people, and they just need the support which they can be given. Questioning or the accountability and the stuff like that is important as well, but we must understand not just for the fact of criticizing, because I have seen a lot of people. I listened earlier on to one of the spaces, which I myself always classified as an anti-Chamisa space. I think it was Citizen, something like that. They're always negative. Nothing comes up from of there. If the criticism and the stuff like that, it is to say why they cannot do this, why they cannot do that. But they don't say anything good which these people have already done, from whatever they formed the Triple C up to now. They have done a lot of things under difficulties, and but it's just criticism. So I just wanted to highlight to say, um, uh, of course, criticism is important, and asking for accountability. But let's understand that when they say something today and they say something tomorrow, there is a need for it. If you are in within that leadership, you will see that uh, there was actually it was important to do or to take whatever the decision which they would have taken. Thank you, Ango, for now.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. Our time is now 17:21, ladies and gentlemen. We've got about 40, just under 40 minutes before the CCC space where Ostalos is going to be the guest speaker on that, CCC, space. And I said, Kuti, we're only going to be doing this, for 2 hours, and then, we go there so that, we get, the up to date position and everything that we need to know. I'm quite sure people are going to be asking, questions, and through those questions, we're going to have an understanding or the knowledge that we need, right now, going forward. But at this, present, moment in time, we continue until we get to 6. What I want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I know Pastor has been here for a minute. Citizen has been here for a minute, and I've got new speakers. So I want to quickly go to Citizen to say something, and then I'll go to Pastor if he's got something to say, and then I'll concentrate on the new speakers that I've added, thinking Zimbabwe Mwendas, Ghetto, and then I'll add a couple so that we get to the 6 p.m. Time. So Citizen Z, take the mic, please.
Thank you, Angus. I want to point out one thing, guys, here. It might be strategic ambiguity. I have to get used to that word. But at this moment in time, it's strategic ambiguity to all of us here, but not ZANU-PF. When ZANU-PF woke up in the morning and took a bath, and they got into their cars and went to Parliament, they met CCC people there. It was not a shock for them. They saw them coming one by one. They took photos 8 hours ago. They posted them. The press statement came, 6 hours to 4 hours ago? That's not strategic ambiguity at all, people. It's supposed to be strategic. If it's what it's supposed to be to the opponent, not to everyone. That has no clue. We started to see pictures from ZANU-PF in the newspapers. Not even the letter, the pictures of people. Yet yesterday was there. Yeah. You pull out to disengage for 14 days. That's 2 weeks. You are planning your next move. On the 13th day, you turn around and tell people that you are engaging. Yeah, you're going back. So that when the photos come in, they do not turn around and scream out, no plan. And again, you cannot say, we're monitoring. No. How do you have planned? You had 14 days to plan these moves. The Speaker of the House has not responded. The court is ongoing. The nomination court is on the 9th. You plan moves. They did not respond. This is what we do. You advise people. You move with people. At this moment in time, let's be honest here. All of us are none of knowing. Now, if you want to know a new updates, you have to turn around and go to Bashona and then Badar and the crew. It is crazy. That's why I said, if it's communication, it messed up. If it's leadership, it messed up more. If it's both of them, it's mental. And they have to learn to turn around and talk. I hope today they are going to turn around and talk to people, not to talk like politicians. If the nomination, if the Chabang issue and they cannot solve it, say that and go to the by-election. If you're not going to the by-election, don't go to the by-election, but say, so that everyone prepares. All of these problems are last-minute decisions. And last-minute decisions turns around and points out you have not been planning here. That it is that simple. So we are not attacking. We are saying it looks bad. And if it looks bad for CCC, it looks bad to every opposition party out here. ZANU-PF is a win for ZANU-PF. And all of us here are in a lose. Today, all of us are in a lose. No one here can lift up their hand and say, I knew this is last night. Or I knew this 9 hours ago. Yet they woke up, they took a bath, they got dressed, and they got into their cars and went to parliament without saying anything. Honestly.
Right. Yeah, but Pastor, do you want to say something?
Yes, Anko Ged, just a minute, really. I'm not going to waste time. I think what I want to say is that, you see, when people criticize CCC, they do so from a good place, and they want CCC to do better. And we all appreciate the work that CC has done and the context in which CCC is working. We know it is a very difficult context, but we must not forget that the agenda is to take power. Okay, you can, if you do well in everything else, but if you cannot be able to achieve the goal, then that well doing is meaningless. It is only meaningful if it is capable of enabling you to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. You know, we are now more than about 23 years from the time that the main opposition was formed. We are still, it's a lifetime, you know, it's a lifetime, 23 years, and we are still fighting. And the problem is that now where we are, there seem to be no direction, and there's a crisis of confidence. And I have to say this. I'm afraid to say that this tempts people to believe, to say that, are they now enabling ZANU-PF unwittingly? You see, it's something that is possible where you actually enable somebody, but unintentionally. Because I think when ZANU-PF sees these things, they are laughing and they are like, you know, we are going to be here for as long as, you know, as we want. So let the CCC reflect on what people are saying, and that's where improvement can come from. But the problem is that they are becoming aversive to criticism, and for me, that's a huge problem. Let us take the criticism that is coming from people, and we can do better.
Right. Thank you very much. Before I introduce, the lineup of the people that are going to take us, to the hour of 6 p.m. UK time, before the CCC space, convene or takes place. I just want to play, this video. It's coming to you as an audio. Osalo's speaking on the decision to return to Parliament and expectations ahead of the 2nd of November hearing. Court application by the lawmakers. Just bear with me. Let me bring you up to speed with this, latest, development.
Thank you very much. We've just received a communique from the party to communicate with fellow Zimbabweans and all stakeholders to the effect that that on the 11th of October, we announced our disengagement from Parliament and local authorities to address particularly the issue of the legal recourse that have been effected both by the Ministry of Local Government and by the Speaker of Parliament. We set a number of issues that we felt must be resolved both by Parliament and local government. And to that effect, we made several steps. One of it is the legal route. We made sure that we take the issue to the court, and you know that there's an urgent matter that is going to be heard by the High Court of Zimbabwe on the 2nd of November to make sure that this issue has been resolved. Secondly, we also engaged here domestically with fellow citizens and different stakeholders, particularly the champions and drivers of the movement, on the necessary political program of action to resolve the crisis that we're facing. And thirdly, is our engagement with parliamentary forums in the region and internationally, which we think are key, and we are members of those particular forums. And they're important to make sure that they help us to resolve one of the crises in our country. And fourthly, of course, was our engagement at summit meeting level, and you are aware of the extraordinary summit, and one of the issues that we've tackled there in terms of our writing and engagement with SADC is about the issue of the legal recourse and the broad crisis of legitimacy and governance questions in our country. So to that effect, you know that the 14 days expired on the 25th, which was yesterday, and we are taking this particular period to make sure that we review and engage with other key stakeholders on the next political program of action. We are very thankful to our champions, members of parliament, and councillors, because there was total compliance on this political decision by our movement, by the citizens' movement. And of course, we salute and thank the citizens because they stood firm in support of their movement so that we corrected this crisis that we're facing. And so we are very clear as a movement. Very soon we are going to pronounce, particularly in respect of the fact that the issue is in the hands of the court, and we expect that the principles of natural justice are going to apply so that we restore sanity in parliament and in local authorities, so that those that have been given mandate by the people are able to be returned back. Because the Speaker of Parliament, as you are aware, acted on error on a fraudulent letter that he was not supposed to be receiving, and particularly acting on. So because of those reasons, this issue has been in the hands of the court, and we expect that on the 2nd of November, we're also going to pronounce ourselves in respect of the decision and the judgment that is going to come from the court.
Mr. Chabang is alleging that you went back to Parliament after he ordered you to go back, saying that it is the position of what he claims the genuine CCC or the original CCC that you go back to Parliament, and that it has nothing to do with your earlier statement.
Look, our statement was very clear and emphatically so that we're disengaging from Parliament for 14 days, and we'll get a meeting also to give an update with Mr. Mdenda, the Speaker of Parliament, particularly to have these issues resolved. And a number of issues. You know that there was terrible treatment of our members of Parliament in the last parliamentary session, and we've been having this engagement through different organs of Parliament, and we are assuring citizens, and we are very confident about the intentions and the direction to have those issues resolved, so that we focus on the big national questions in our country. You know that very soon budget is coming. You know that there are key national issues that were deployed by the citizens, because two responsibilities are mandated to members of Parliament. The first responsibility is to make sure that we make the law for the benefit of our people. We are a social democratic outfit, and it is important that we are there in Parliament to make sure that we advance pro-poor laws, and that is the mandate that we must execute. Secondly, is to hold the executive to account. That is why people voted for members of Parliament, for tributes, so that we are able to hold the executive to account. So we are begging Parliament to make sure that all these issues and responsibility bestowed upon us by the people, while these issues are being resolved. And we are going to announce in terms of the political program of action that we are taking in relation to Parliament.
Speaking of which, Senator Zimbabwe is threatening more people. Are you seeking any legal action against them?
Look, we have no time for charlatans. We are focusing on big national questions. The issues that we are addressing here are about national issues. They don't involve imposters. Depositors don't have a role to play in the national democratic project. We are very serious and very clear in terms of the justice game. We have no time for jokers. We have no time for people who are acting, of course, as tutors on name points to try and advance, and of course to try and delay the democratic project. So we are focused on the big question. What is the big question in this country? It's the question of legitimacy. It's the question of governance. It's the question of the crisis that we face post the 2023 election. And this is the issue that we are focused on, and we're going to make sure that we focus on those big questions. what they decided to do, but we are focused on the important task and the task
if the Constitutional Court does grant those recalls that we put up forward by Chabang, are you going to field more candidates for the by-elections?
Look, the question of by-election, and let me respond very clearly about by-election. The question must never be about whether we participate or not. The big question is whether or not they support.
Right. So that is a little bit, it's only about 5 minutes and 41 seconds, and you could tell that they do not capture, everything, right there. So basically, he has reiterated or he has said again what is contained, in that letter. But in there now is the issue of, Shabangu. Shabangu was interviewed, today by Ezra. He was live, on Facebook, today, Shabangu, and he made several, declarations, of which some of these are the ones that Osalos, was trying, to, answer to. But yeah, he was live about, 4 hours ago, and you see that, that aspect or that issue, that I was, speaking to. You could see Chabangu said, if you don't go to parliament, I'll recall you. And it seems as if now he's claiming that, it was because of what he said that these people are now, back, in parliament. But anyway, I will go and listen to this interview, and if there are any takeaways that are coming out of that, I'll bring them, to the space. If we reconvene, today, depending on the progress with the space that CCC are going, to be having, whether it is 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. I'm not sure, the time frame. But if there's time for us, to then come back and also, give you the opportunity to react to what, Osalos, would have said, I would then, make sure that, that happens. In as an additive, to that, I'll try to bring in these or statements that Shabangu would have, which I think I'll be able to isolate them in terms of their weight. Kuti tingaite my discussion points on them here when we come here. I'll try and do that, but we'll try and see kuti can we have another space after CCC have done their space. But that is what has been dropped by Zim Live about 5 minutes ago, and I just thought that those of you guys we had not seen that. Let me bring you up to speed as to as to that conversation and it. But anyway, I think we're going to hear more when Ostalos take to the podium when he occupies the guest speaker position Paspecie CCC that is going to be starting in about 22 minutes time. But anyway, Regaiti Tangi Nema new speakers right now. So I've got I think in Zimbabwe I've got Mendas, I've got Ghetto. So you guys, if you can take the mic in that order, please just bear in mind that we only have got about 22 minutes. So in your presentation, I've got other people that want to speak. Just do a ga 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 ga. Don't try to bring us any historical whatever it is that you think might you might want to bring. Just speak to the issues that we've been discussing today. So thinking Zimbabwe, take the mic. You're going to be followed by Mendas and Koma Ghetto. I will see if I can add a couple of more people so that we can get to the 6 o'clock mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nkoma Jedza. Thank you, everyone, listeners and other speakers. I don't have a problem with anything and everything that is happening. As far as Triple C responding or doing all those things, I have a problem with the people, ordinary citizens, who have come to a position where they are kind of number avachanzwi kuti vari kurwadziswa, avachanzwi and avachaoni kuti vari kushandiswa. Because when I try to see at ZANU-PF and Triple C, I see political parties with objectives, and they've got their strategies to attain their objectives. The objective of ZANU-PF and Triple C, someone said, is just to obtain state power. And if someone fails to obtain that state power, they must hang in somewhere so that they remain in the competition. That's the game of political parties, minus ordinary citizens. Then where do we, and I mean we as in you and I, ordinary citizens, where do we stand? What are we benefiting from ZANU-PF? To those who support ZANU-PF, what are we benefiting from ZANU-PF? From those who support CCC, what are we benefiting from CCC? What are these two entities doing for ordinary people?